Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
125 home game hand.
125 home game, okay.
So Hero is basically seen as a aggressive young winning player. Villain's going to be a middle-aged white guy, pretty recreational, but a little significant history is he's shown the ability to bluff a little bit more than the average player in this pool.
Okay.
A few hours prior, I opened UTG to 20. He flatted aces on the button, and flop went check fold. He took the pot.
Okay.
So in this hand, I open 6 of diamonds, 6 of spades, under the gun to 20.
So how deep are you guys?
It's 1400 effective.
Oh, so you're really deep. Pretty deep.
Yeah.
1400 effective. And you open 6-6 from under the gun, right? To 20?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Folds to villain on the button.
Uh-huh.
Who calls. Blinds fold.
Okay, so your head's up.
So
Okay.
flop comes queen of clubs, jack of hearts, 6 of hearts.
Queen of clubs, jack of hearts, 6 of hearts. So you've got bottom set, right?
Yep.
With 2 flush out there.
So I see bet 30.
Okay.
Villain raises to 100. So obviously, 3-betting and raising c-bets is pretty rare in this game. But I feel like with such a wet board and such a good hand, I 3-bet to 250.
All right, so just a little thing on this. So hero to 250. So is the reason why you said that aces hand before because you think that this villain might flat with a big pocket pair?
Right.
So
I think it's possible. I think he's more likely to flat aces as a trap than queens or jacks, just because they're a little bit more vulnerable. But I think it's still going to be somewhat in his range.
I mean, I will say, though, too, not that people necessarily play like this at this level, though. When you're opening under the gun and let's say I'm on the button and no one else has called in between, jacks is really only like probably a partial 3-bet. It might even be more of a flat. Queens is probably 3-bet at a pretty higher frequency, but not always. So it's different than when there's dead money in between talking about pre-flop configuration. But with bottom set here, you bet 30, the guy makes it 100, and you 3-bet to 250. I mean, I would probably do this too. Again, I don't know if you heard the earlier caller where we were talking about, what would you be doing with some of the other hands that you have here that aren't sets like ace, queen, kings, and aces you'd probably call. So, how can you 3-bet only your sets here if you don't have bluffs? I would revert and say that it's just a situation where this guy basically raising you on the flop is really not going to fold. And I would start building. Now, because if you call, the other thing too is that raise is kind of small. If you call, a lot of times it might go check on turn. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't go check on turn and he puts a bet in on the turn that's like small, now you're going to check raise. That even looks stronger than a bet 3-bet. So I have no problem with this. You make it 250.
So this is where it gets a little interesting. Villain now min 4-bets to 400.
Yeah, that is interesting. So he min clicks it back to 400.
Yep.
I
Which
mean,
I've played this game for a pretty long time. I've never seen anybody 4-bet the flop with anything basically but the nuts. This, like I said, this guy, he has more bluffs in his range, and I'm seeing this pretty aggressive. So, it's possible that he's playing a combo draw like this, but it's a weird spot.
yeah, it definitely is a weird spot. I can't really. I mean, you are what? You're 300 bigs deep, or just under 300 bigs deep. It's a raised pot, and you flop bottom set when you're really only losing to queens or jacks. I would probably. Again, it's kind of a weird thing. We've had a lot of these calls here today with these hands. I'm going to have a hard time folding here. I guess I would. I guess I would call, just because I'm just trying to think if there's any 4-bet hands that he's going to fold if you were to ship. Again, you probably can't play this all that badly, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to fold this hand at 1-2-5 in a home game.
Right? You ever see a merit of shipping it? And because I don't know if these players are getting away from top two or king ten of hearts,
I think it's fine.
maybe even
I think it's
as
fine.
wide as ace king of hearts.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
You know, it's just like I said, it's kind of tough to play. It's tough to it's tough to not play this hand in the right way. You could flat,
Right.
you could re-raise. I don't really think there's a four bet fold. So now that I think of it, if there's not really a four bet fold range, then yeah, you could probably just get it in right
Okay.
now.
As played, I just flatted.
Okay,
Uh, Turn comes nine of spades.
hero flats. Uh, so now the pot is what, like 850, and you've got like 1,000 left, something like that. By the way, that's the other thing too. It's really only a pot size bet left if you shove. By the way, the nine of spades coming in obviously completes one of the combo draws, which is king ten of hearts. But like you said, and I think it's accurate, I've done thousands of hours of poker commentary, and if somebody was gonna try to go with king ten of hearts, they would just shove back at you. They wouldn't min four bet click. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
turns
Yeah, I
nine
agree.
spades. Yeah.
You ever see this turn as a lead from hero, or you always basically see it as a check?
I don't think that you really should have a leading range here if you're going to call the four bet really all that much. So I would probably check everything, I would think.
So I check. Villain bets 300.
Okay. So that leaves him with only like 500 left, right?
Got about 680 left.
680 left. I mean, he bets 300 into 9. The pot's 1500. He's got 680 left. There's a lot of queen jacks here that can be out there. I feel
Yeah.
like there's 9 queen jacks. Nine combos of queen jacks here.
This is probably a jam here, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
As played, I ended up just flatting.
Okay.
River comes three of spades.
hmm
I check, and he jams the rest of the stack for 680.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't he play queen jack sort of the same way? I'm never gonna fold, so that's why I would probably jam turn. But are you thinking of folding here? Is that the
Well, I'm trying to think of the hands that he would play this way.
yeah?
The turn bet I thought was kind of small.
hmm
So I feel like if he was afraid I was on hearts, he probably wouldn't bet that small, and he would have got it in on the turn. So when he bets that small, I'm thinking it probably is some kind of draw, which makes me think I probably should have led river.
You think that
But
nah? See, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with your thinking here. You think that if he has a draw, he's going to lead small on the turn. Why wouldn't he just try to max his fold equity? I think he would bet large with a draw on the turn.
yeah, the only thing I can think is that absolute values $300 is a lot in this game, and I think the players get a little bit scared to make a big bet with some kind of semi bluff.
Yeah, but he had four bet clicked it to 400. The pot is enormous.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's there was a question about in the chat. Someone asked, well, could he ever have aces or kings? Because you said he had raised before. And my answer to that is there's just no way that aces or kings is going to take this line, I think, across all three streets. Like, even if aces goes four bet flop bet turn, I don't think it's going to go all in here. When they flat aces and kings, they would just check it back. Um, they might not even four bet the flop. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you called.
I did call.
hmm
I tanked for a little while, called, and villain shows king queen of hearts.
See, that's really interesting that he bet the river there. Because at the low, so
Right.
you obviously you win. That's another hand actually too that could have been possible in the form of Queen X of Hearts. But why would he move all in on the river? Like, is
Right.
he
Well, I'm
trying to?
thinking.
Does he think you have aces or kings, which he blocks kings, by the way, right? So he's betting as a bluff on the river. It's a weird hand to bet as a bluff.
I was pretty confused. I don't know if he was value betting the whole time or if he was turning his hand into a bluff. I mean, I just feel like the four bet on the flop is definitely. I mean, that's got to be an overplay, right? So,
Oh yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, I don't understand why. If he was gonna do that click, then I would have expected him to take a card on the turn, okay, or move all in. It's sort of weird for him to bet 300. unless he was sort of doing it as kind of like a reverse stop bet, which I talk about, like they're going to bet a little bit on the turn to take a showdown on the river. It's just a really weird hand to do it with, though. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if he had like ace 10 of hearts and he missed everything, I could see that. But king queen of hearts,
Yeah.
the other thing too is that it's such a simple concept. What's your name?
Taylor.
Taylor. It's such a simple concept. I don't know why people at the low stakes go so apeshit crazy with top pair and a flush draw. It's a great hand to call across multiple streets against the preflop raiser because a lot of times you are going to have him beat where the guy is going to have very little outs, or he's not going to fold an overpair, and it doesn't look like you have a flush a lot. The only time that I ever go buck shit crazy sometimes with top pair and a flush draw is if I have ace little suited, and I feel like the guy will come off of like a single paired ace. You know what I mean? But I don't try to turn top pair and a flush draw into like bluffs a whole lot against people that have a probable overpair or better range. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once he called, he said, "I guess you're probably good," and turned over his hand and said, "I knew the only way I could win the pot was by shoving the river." I don't know if he just said it after he saw my hand and realized he looked kind of silly. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, it's really weird because you'll see people make like sort of, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like if you take this hand and look at it and say the guy was out of position and, you know, for some reason he check raise flop bet turn and then on the river he didn't know what to do, so he just bet. You know what I mean? You'll see that. But normally this is sort of a outlier hand. When somebody's in position, they will check back hands with showdown value. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this was definitely strange for sure. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.